Dobar dan svima. We'll switch to English.
Hello, everybody.
I was held up with the radio. We had a wonderful discussion. My name is Boris Radanović. I'm the head of engagement and partnerships at SWGFL, which is a UK not-for-profit charity, part of the UK Safer Internet Center. And we have been doing this work for the last 25 years. Next year is going to be 25. So first I want to say thank you so much to Andrej and the organization team and the Slovenian police for the invitation. And thank you so much for having a coffee. Now you're all perked up and nice, and it was a wonderful presentation as well by Catherine. Today is going to be a little bit different, and our topic is going to be somewhat different, but I understand as well, connecting with my previous colleague who presented, it's going to be a little bit trauma-informed, and you're going to see why and how. So I love to start with this quote. I don't know if you ever saw it or heard it. I think it's true. We've got Paleolithic brains, emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. 3.2 million years. That's how old, depending who you ask, our brains are. And that's where we go from when we see something online that we react emotionally. That's what the social media wants to get you. It wants to get you mad, it wants to get you happy, it wants to get you excited. It doesn't want to keep you in that green form, in the middle form, as Catherine said. It wants to get you in that red. And then we have medieval institutions. Whether that's in Croatia, where I used to work and live, whether it's in the UK or the United States. I had the privilege and honor of visiting 44 countries in 10 years and advising many of them how to update their policies. And I'm sorry to say, you're the best we have. I know it sounds scary, and I genuinely mean it. You're the best we have. In the lives of children around you, the institutions will always move slower. And at the point of writing a law, the law is outdated already. At the point of writing the policy is outdated already. And I have a difficult time, if anybody is from a legal background, and I asked this numerous times, how or why are we applying a rigid framework, which are laws and policies and papers and writing words, on a liquid environment, which is the digital space? It just doesn't work. But we have to do something. But you are in between those medieval institutions and your old brains and children around you who can react much quicker. And then we have godlike technology. That little device in your pocket, if it was iPhone 6, I think, now we're at 14, 15, I don't know what the version of the iPhone is. When it was 6, it had the same computing power as the lunar module, which landed on the moon. The top 3 uses for mobile phones today: communication, looking at cat pictures and memes, and porn. There has to be better ways to use those devices. And you're the best people to do it. I heard that some of you are from social care, some of you work directly with children, teachers, educators, and police officers, either working on the education and prevention side or on the consequence side, what comes out of it. But I'll repeat again, you're the best we have. And I know it sounds scary because I'm scared, because I'm sitting here on the stage and many stages of the world. Sometimes I'm the best we have, and I'm surely not the best. So please, if you're going to take one thing from today, is educate yourself. This is the email. This is the last note. We need you to educate yourself about digital technologies, mobile phones, TikToks, MicMics, and LickLicks, and Pal Worlds, so you can be those people around children to protect them. And we can start with this. I asked AI, by the way, for our visual learners, kind of create me an image out of this, out of that quote. And you can see 2 things. Number 1, AI still cannot spell as good as we can, so we got that. And number 2, yeah. By the way, there's new AI. I'll tell you later. It's even better. But number 2, like, the image is really cool when you look at it, right? From that quote, it basically captures it all in a really interesting fashion. So again, utilizing technologies for the benefit of humankind, or you as a learner, as somebody working in prevention, somebody working in education, somebody working in social care, you can use AI to help you craft some of the imagery. And many of them in my session today are going to be created by AI. So this is the title. I understood I have the shortest title in the whole conference, which I do apologize, but the longest session. So please hold on with me. We're going to do good. Couple of things that you notice. I speak at 212 words a minute. 160 is considered fast. So I don't know what 212 is considered, so I apologize to the translators. I'm really sorry. We'll do our best. I'll buy you a coffee later. I work at the SWGFL, not-for-profit charity from UK, and we are part of the UK Safer Internet Centre for many years, and we work with Internet Watch Foundation on multiple assets of helpline, hotline, reports of CSAM, education. We have a national helpline for teachers, or as we call them, professionals working with children. Anybody working with children, we help on a daily basis. And we have the intimate image abuse helpline, revenge porn helpline, where we take down intimate image abuse of adults. And we're going to talk about that as well a little bit later on. But first of all, random quokka. Anybody ever seen a quokka? Yes? So-called the happiest animals in the world. And they are. They're awesome. So today we're going to be talking about some difficult topics. Again, connecting with Catherine. Sometimes you might see a random quokka appear on your screen during my session. We don't know much about digital technologies, but we do know that in your streams on social media, if you go and consciously like Black Panthers, silly pictures of animals, when you stream in that zombie mode and sometimes a random picture pops up, it helps with your mental health, okay? We know that. So when we talk about difficult topics today, when you see a quokka, you can take a deep breath with me, remind yourself you're safe, you're sound, everything is cool, and the world is a little bit better place with quokkas in them. They're awesome, but do not touch them. They're really like sensitive animals. They don't have natural predators. You know who they, like the only natural predator is? It's us, and our diseases. So like, don't touch them. There's like, figure that out. Random quokkas, awesome animals. Think about it. So again, I asked AI. Out of this quote, and I spoke to one of your colleagues here from police, had the pleasure of speaking a week ago at the UN office in Qatar, Japan a year ago, any country in the world that you can mention. I've been in this space for a decade. And what I know from data, and now some things from experience, but talking to many people, almost coming to data or science, the crimes that we saw a decade ago being committed by the age group of 18 to 25 is now going down to 11 to 15. It poses a lot of questions, from care, education, law, age of criminal responsibility. You saw what happened in Vienna and Taylor Swift concert. Just the other day, the youngest person ever to be sentenced in the United Kingdom was 12 because they were taking part in the riots during the summer and posting things online. So we have younger and younger children committing more serious criminal activities and crimes. And then you have the quote of Nelson Mandela, that the youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. Which begs the question, like, what are our leaders of tomorrow going to look like that they are supposed to be earning for our pensions like in the future? So we need to act now. So we need to start educating our children now. The first concept, which they do not understand, that their digital activities have real life consequences. Because somehow we have created a society where they don't think that those things connect. That you can speak online and send a snap that will disappear, it won't. That you can share an image of yourself even though it's a criminal activity. That you can bully somebody with no consequences even though that person in 25% of the cases is contemplating suicide. Like, there's a gap in the knowledge sharing between us and children around us. So I went to Poland last week. We did a similar session on this. And I asked AI to give me a visual representation of the vulnerability in the internet age and how does it look. And this was kind of using the Polish, I don't know, like it just created it by itself. And then I asked it to do the same thing for Slovenia. It's like, you can tell me if the AI is wrong there, but it does have a Slovenian flavor a little bit there. Might be, I don't know. There's a lot of mistakes. Like, it's making mistakes, so use it. Like teach the AI what it is or what it is not. But it presents like an interesting concept. Again, something as a starter, a conversation starter, especially with children, where you need to build the bridge of communication. We were the generation that needed to learn how to pick the phone up. They're the generation that need to learn how to put the phone down. But we're the generation that's supposed to teach them that. You didn't have a phone until you were maybe 7 or 15. You didn't have social media until you were probably in high school, maybe late elementary. They now have social media at the age of 2, like 5. 25% of children in UK, up until the 2-year-olds, have 25%, 1 in 5 of them, 1 in 4 of them own their own phone already. So you tell me what is the age-appropriate way to talk about cyberbullying, to talk about abusers, pedophiles, groomers, pop-up ads, scams to a 2-year-old. That's how young we need to start. So then we talk about vulnerability. And as quoted in the last session, Brené Brown says, vulnerability breeds vulnerability. Between 40 to 60% of children, depending what country you look at, 40 to 60% of children up until the age of 18 will end up in a harmful situation online. Okay? So it's not an if, it's a when. Less than 5% of them will reach out to us, to a trusted adult. I did hundreds, I don't know, maybe 500 sessions all across the world with kids. And I always ask them, what would you do in a situation? And they're all in unison. We taught them to speak in unison. We would talk to a trusted adult. And I lean in and say, would you? They're like, nah. Why? One, they don't trust you. You're not a trusted person. You don't even know how to pronounce Mick, Lick, Lick, or TikTok. Did you see the bold glamour filter? You don't even know it exists. Why would I tell you that all of my images on social media are faked? Because I'm not happy with how I look. And I can have that conversation with each person in the room because none of your images are real on social media. Because I Googled Slovenia before I came here, and there's 2 conclusions. Number 1, it's the sunniest country in the world with the happiest people. But that's not true, right? I don't mind you, you're adults, you do you. But our children are then looking up to something that's called an unattainable ideal of beauty, of life, that we created. So the simple answer is, it's not them, it's us, but that's also a difficult thing to understand. We created the internet, we made it popular, it wasn't made for children, we had 35 years to fix it, and we failed. And if we continue down this line, I believe as adults, we will fail in our principal duty to protect children and create a better and safer world for them. So I'm happy I share a room with crazy enough people as me that we believe that we can create a better world and can change them. And I definitely know we can because I'm doing my part and I hope you do yours. And together we can do it. So when we talk about vulnerable groups, it's like defining them a decade ago, it's not the same today. So going into the specifics of it, you can fall asleep after this slide. This is what you need to worry about. It was 3 C's of online safety. Now we have added the 4th C of online safety. You can Google about it. You can find research. It is the answer to the ultimate question, what I should be worried about my child online. It's not TikTok. It's not Grand Theft Auto. It's like if we go device by device, game by game, app by app, it's going to take us weeks. What we need to worry about in our respectful conversations with children is content, contact, conduct, and contract. The last one is worrying. The last one is something that you ticked and you said, yes, I have read and understood the terms and service of Instagram. Then you joined, right? We call it the biggest lie of the 21st century because none of you have read it. If you did, you would see that in the Instagram quotes, in the Instagram contract that you signed as an adult, it says clearly that Instagram has the rights to use any image that you publish, and some of them in your camera roll as well, which are not published, to create a marketing campaign in Croatia, Slovenia, or even South Korea, earn millions of it and pay you nothing. And again, you're adults. I don't care about you. But a 13-year-old signs the same contract. That's a problem. So, big answer, what? This, the 4 C's of online safety. Then we talk about the topic of vulnerability in the internet age, and I think it is evolving drastically. The groups we considered vulnerable 15, 20 years ago are totally different today. And I'm sorry to say, based on my experience and the work in the last decade, especially in the UK Safe Internet Center, especially working with the intimate image abuse helpline, the biggest vulnerable group today are women. We as a society have decided to take the worst parts of society, racism, misogyny, sexism, bullying, all of the worst, and kind of put it online. And we now know by data that 85% of victims of intimate image abuse are women, and 75% of perpetrators are men. We're doing the same thing as we did in society, but we now have technical capabilities to do it at mass, at hundreds. In some cases that we worked, one perpetrator, a male, would have hundreds, if not a couple of hundreds of female victims and hundreds of thousands of images and videos. That's the scale technology allows us to do. It allows us to help at scale and to abuse at scale. So moving from children and young people, absolutely they're vulnerable because they don't know. And I fully respect that you're sitting here listening to me and nobody gave you the book of internet, the rule book on what to do on Viber and WhatsApp, how to behave on Snapchat. And I'm here saying you should educate the next generation, right? It's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair. Like nobody educated us. But we need to do better for ourselves, for our own safety, so we can then educate the next generation. And then moving on, as we heard as well, victims of sexual abuse, children with any form of disability, audio, visual, children with their language being Slovenian or English, a third language, a higher chance of abuse. Anything that puts you in a category of ability or disability puts you in a vulnerable group online. Low income, marginalized communities, LGBTQI, any part of that puts you into a vulnerable group and category. Moving on, refugees and migrants, and then one that are really close to my heart, and children in care. And I asked that question to Andre, and I hope you'll take it away. And I hope you use many of the learnings today to poke your government. I come from an NGO. I love poking the governments. To do better, by the way, to do better. I hope the internet in your schools is filtered and monitored. I hope when I go to a school, maybe close here, or maybe in this even university campus, that I cannot, when I connect to the Wi-Fi, access porn, or access harmful content, or access terrorist content, or access child sexual abuse material, right? That should be the basics. Then if that's not the case, go and ask why and like do those checks, and I believe some of those checks are in place. And then go to the children's home. In Croatia, we have children's homes in different countries, different names, but children without parents. In most countries, the government has the responsibility to take care of them. I bet you they don't have the same protections. And we know, out of many things we don't, that children at most risk in physical life are at most risk in digital life. And we know that children in care homes from difficult situations, difficult backgrounds, are closest to that risk. So I implore you to check, advocate, and see why are we not applying the same protections to children in schools, which have, most of them, parents and carers, to the children that don't. And that's a huge vulnerable group that will see harm first, experience that negative experiences first, but we don't think about the same protections as they do. And I hope somebody's alarm is waking them up. That's fine. Children with mental and communication difficulties, absolutely. What we didn't know a decade ago is how much more vulnerable these communities are. Now we know 3 to 7 times more likely. If you fall into any of those categories, and women, by the way, you're 3 to 7 times more likely to get abused online. If you're a woman, if you're a female gamer, 75% of them hide their identity because they cannot say that they're female because immediately they'll get abused and had toxic words spewed out at them. Well, they still represent 49% of gamers. So half of our gamers are hiding who they are because the other half is abusing them on a game. So whether that's increased exposure to online harms, whether that's a lack of digital literacy, that we forgot about some of these groups, that they also need to be brought up, they also need to be protected, whether they're reluctant to seek help because they don't, like if parents, if teachers are not the persons of trust in a school, can you imagine any of these groups considering us to be trusted individuals? And basically lack of support system and lack of trust in the system that for many of these groups have let them down. So then you can talk about vulnerable adults, seniors, daycare centers where we leave our children for like half a day so mom and dad can get some peace and do some shopping, or a sauna. Like, what is the environment there? Like, we trust them inherently that they're going to take care of our children. Like, they're going to go online. They're going to play the Wii and the PlayStations and whatnot. Like, what are the checks and balances? What are the policies of the connections online? You can create the most safest environment in your home, and then your kid goes outside to public Wi-Fi, and connects to everything that he or she wants. So a lot of questions we need to be asking that needs to evolve. So when I put this slide up, most of the parents say, thank you so much, Boris. This is basically a teenager. I know. That's why it makes it difficult. That's why, based on research, in the Western developed world, parents talk to their children around 10 minutes per day. 10 minutes. And you should fit in health, education, homework, like all of the topics there, love and relationships, and somehow online safety and protections. While you, on the other hand, have far more time in front of their children to notice the changes. And sometimes there are little kind of subtle changes that can be made in their behaviors, or a sudden reluctancy to use any technology, or a sudden need to use the technology all the time. And I'll tell you why. When we talk to people, when we talk to children who have been victims of child sexual abuse online, often the perpetrator is not a person that you can kind of clearly show or identify, but the way of working is. Create a friendship, become their best friend, try to alienate them from their family and friends, prove that their parents are wrong and they are right, and then kind of extort them for images or videos or abuse of their siblings or themselves, or meet up in person. That's basically how it goes. The first step is becoming friends. And that's a difficult one. Because online, when you go online, everybody wants to kind of find their tribe and find their friends. That's the whole point of it. We want to belong somewhere. We want to play the game with our friends. It is really difficult to understand the difference between a friend and foe online, because sugar looks like salt. And you're 7. And you love the game. And somebody approaches you online and you start talking about the sword. And you want the pink sword. And the pink sword is $250 or euros. You don't have $250, but that person is going to give you the sword. And he or she is so cool. You don't know, they're like an elf as well as you. And you kind of get the sword. It doesn't come in the mail anymore. It comes on the screen. It's just pixels, by the way, nothing more. And you engage in a friendship conversation. And that person just immediately starts talking to you about items and the trades. And you have what perpetrators, groomers, and pedophiles didn't have 25, 35 years ago. That is the first topic of conversation. It's really hard to walk up to a kid on the street and start talking to them. But in a gaming space, we talk immediately about the game, the objective, the items, something. My next point of call is to get you off the game. Get you into an environment where you can exchange images and videos, or do a video call, or any shape or format of that, to get you out of that environment so we can communicate and send that. That is one of the first steps where a child can step away and feel something wrong is happening there, and then walk across the bridge of respect and communication that you should have built with the children around you and get you and say, something weird is happening here. Can you help me with this? And then it progresses into abuse and other forms. So what can we do? I'll tell you what's going to happen if we don't do anything. We worked on many cases in the UK. On the top is one of the most heaviest ones. Harry was an autistic child in a special education needs school, and he was in a bakery. He wasn't having a good day. He was having a fit. And he got recorded trashing the bakery. Not a nice sight. He got plastered online, the video, as the bad UK youth child, kind of poster child for bad UK youth. Harry's mother came out and said, whoa, like, that's not Harry. Harry's a beautiful child. That's a moment in Harry's life. Harry had a moment, like he has special needs. Please remove the video. The social media said, no, it is in the public interest to leave that video up. Not so long after that, Harry attempted to take his own life. Not until Harry's mother reached out to us, which we have a platform in UK called Report Harmful Content, not illegal content, harmful content, that we reached out to the platforms and explained that this video, even though it doesn't present anything but against your policies, presents a real danger to the life of a child, take it down in a matter of seconds, sometimes hours. They did. It shouldn't come to that, is the whole point. And then is the story from Croatia. I don't know if you read that one. When a young man came to the a gas station, a petrol station, to apply for work. Again, whether or not, but possibly had some mental health issues. The worker recorded a video abusing and just playing with the child, with the young man in that case. And that young man later on did take his own life. That is the consequence if we don't do anything. Around 25% of children who are being cyberbullied are contemplating suicide. It's not like contemplating to change the school first. It's like the most severe consequences. And we have nothing to compare to that emotion. We might have been bullied because of our hairstyle, wearing glasses or whatnot, and then you walked home, and then it stopped for like an hour or maybe a couple of hours. But today you carry your abuser for 24 hours in your pocket. You open the app, you have all of the warnings, all of the messages, all of the screenshots continually abusing you. 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after your gym session, after your swimming session, like it happens continually. There is no escape. And the advice that we got, just ignore it, he or she might like you, doesn't work because it's not true. And you have no way out. And the trusted adult is watching a football game and doesn't have time for you. And your teacher doesn't know the knowledge. And the only people you can talk to is the people of your age. So you have a 9-year-old advising a 9-year-old contemplating suicide. I love my friends, and I loved them when I was 9, but I'm not sure they're the best people to advise children on that and how to deal with that. So yes, helplines, public awareness campaigns, collaborative efforts. If anything works, we know in the last 2 decades, only a multi-stakeholder approach works. So that means the lunch lady and the head teacher, the parent, both of them, but as well the teacher and the child, like all of the people around the child need to be involved in that education. So we can have a better chance. If you want with me, by the way, that's a quokka, if you forgot. Take a deep breath, you're safe. We're talking about the dark corners, like 3 to 5%, like really dark corners. But don't forget, like internet is awesome. Majority of it is really awesome. But we need to be aware as professionals of the dangers, educate our children about them, but emphasize the benefits. For instance, a quokka. It's a really nice thing to see on your stream. Amongst all of the wars and beheadings and terrorist attacks and dangers and reds and beauties and whatever you need to do, and suddenly a quokka appears, like, right? You felt that now for a second, like that was a really hard topic. Quokka saved you there, and I hope you use more quokkas in your life. So the bubble we need to talk about really short. I need to check my time. We all live in a bubble. It can be chosen, which I hope it is, but it's mostly unconscious. Again, I asked AI, how does the bubble look in Slovenia? And it looks really weird. Like, that's all I'm going to say. I don't know why the mountains are aside of the bubble, but that's how the social media bubble in Slovenia might look. And you will not get the same news when you go to BBC if we just right now connect our 2 phones from the same Wi-Fi to the same BBC, let alone anything else. So you need to understand that your bubble has nothing to do with the children's bubble, okay? You have different experiences. We have different social medias. Our streams look really different. But what you can kind of wisely know is that you can abuse the same algorithms that are abusing us in the bubble. So if your child is using TikTok, you should, by the way, download TikTok today, and you can install parental controls. And you can then monitor and help kind of manage child's account on TikTok. By the way, you can do it on Facebook, you can do it on Netflix. I'm not promoting anything, but we have been pushing TikTok for the last 4 years to do exactly the list of things, and they have done them. You know what the problem is? Less than 5% of parents use them. So again, it's us. But what you can do, when you set up your account, you can send them quokkas. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to see more quokkas. You can send them an article about how sleep is important, which is a TED talk, and how sleep deprivation is one of the biggest killers of the modern society. So they might see more TED talks. You catch my drift? Use the algorithm that is being used against us to positively influence the children around us, to create and pierce some of that bubble. But you're working with vulnerable communities, trust me, their bubbles are much, much, much smaller, because the communities they feel safe in are not your communities. So piercing those bubbles is even harder or more difficult as we go along. So today, I hope you become a bridge builder. which is really ironic coming from a failed or kind of dismissed civil engineer, but we need to be doing that. And is this notion, children are on the other end, and we are on this end, and the bridge will not get built from their end. I hope today I'm going to give you some bricks of knowledge to start building that bridge. So go back home, go back to your institutions, check the policies, check the filtering, do the tests, send the email with all caps saying why, or zašto, depending what the question is. Then go to the UK Safer Internet Center, go to the Slovenian Safer Internet Center, educate yourself, and say we must do better. And then try to build a report. Try to build a conversation with the children around you. And how? This is a lot of long words, especially for non-native English speaker. Non-judgmental, non-victim blaming, open, and sharing conversations. So what is your favorite meme of the week? What is one time this week that you felt bad when somebody commented on your image? Oh, so you did that hairstyle? Ruined my whole day. And I paid a lot of money for that. But how did you deal with that? And did you share it with just your daughter, your sibling, your niece, your nephew, or the children in your class that are dealing with the same comments when they get a new hairstyle and published image? So share. We need to share our experiences with our children around us in an age-appropriate way, of course, but not blame the victim. I'll take an example of intimate image abuse. Even still, to this day, and I love that some police officers here, I love you guys, you work hard. But still to this day, when a woman, mostly a woman, comes to police, in the UK you can get fined and criminally put in jail up to 4 years for just threatening to share the intimate images. I would like to see some of you check the Slovenian law is the same here. Can we update it maybe a little bit better? Goes to the police and says, my partner is threatening or already shared my intimate images, ruining my life, my professional career, everything else. One of the first questions the police ask is, why did you share the images in the first place? So they call us anonymous intimate image abuse helpline, and 33% of them are suicidal at the point of call. We're not an emergency service. There's 37 women and man teams strong in a little charity in a parking lot, serving a country of 66 million people. Like, we're not like I need you. I need you to take my job. And I always say my job is to be out of a job and go back to Croatia and chill on the beaches. But in 6 years I've been working in UK, it's just growing. And the point of my organization is to stop existing. Like, we don't want to grow. Like, we don't want to have more people hired. Like, growth for us is a negative thing. So we need to evolve our society's stance of what does it mean to be non-victim blaming. And to connect it, we need to find good examples. So I love an example. If, for instance, unfortunately, my house or my flat gets robbed, somebody breaks in, and I call the police and say, oh, listen, somebody broke in. The police would not say, oh, Boris, why did you buy so many fancy stuff, right? It's not upon the victim to explain why a crime has been committed. We need to find the perpetrator and focus on that. And again, I know where I'm talking, and I know how it is in Croatia and the Balkans. There's a lot of evolution we need to create on that, and responsibility, but I'm talking about how to talk to children here. And you can apply it to adults at the same time. And that conversation also needs to have a part that none of us had as children, and that is a listening part, where we shut up and listen to them. And I do sessions with kids. I speak half of the time, and half of the time I let them speak. I learn a lot. I learn a lot of misinformation. I learn a lot of lies. I learn a lot about threats, new games. And then I constantly remember, what are the 4 C's of online safety? What are the 4 C's of online safety? Like, what should I be kind of worrying when I'm listening to them? And like, oh, you're sharing images on Snapchat. Cool, cool. A lot of them. Oh, wow. Awesome. Go into the next room, scream in a pillow. Come back. Be cool. Listen. And if you do, you hear stories. And there's a lot of stories that you can hear about us using social media. And by the way, on the right, it says 65. It's 25 and over, let's be honest. Anybody above the age of 25 uses a couple of apps. We just don't have the time. They do. And that's where the bridge needs to be built, okay? And oh, I'm so sorry, outdated data. This is the new data. This is how it looks now. It's not better. The gap is even wider. That's where we need to build a bridge between us and them and their experience and our experience online. And then if we move on to the digital playground, I love this, showing to professionals who have a safeguarding background. I bet that each and every one of you, when you go into the children's playground, you scan it, you see the edges, you see like it's a thing we do professionally, right? So I implore you to do the same thing, but in the digital playground. And there's a couple of things missing there. Number one, there's no human adults there sitting on the corner observing everything. There's not a human there playing with the children as well. At least not us. Where would you think that a pedophile would go and look for jobs? On the digital playground, of course. Or in the institutions where he or she can engage with children, right? So what I'm asking you is, join TikTok. Go play Roblox. Go play Minecraft. Enjoy the spaces in the digital playground where children are, so there's a higher chance that one of us is there, might see something reported, or stand up in the digital space. We can do that safely and be that positive light. And I always love to say, and as well, applying to the police, and as well many social care and educators here, I don't consider what we do as a job, because nobody chooses to be underpaid and overworked. I think it's more of a calling. And I respect you fully for choosing to help others, but I am asking more, and I'm fully aware of that. There's around 2,000 people in Europe doing the job we do in safer internet centers, maybe 5,000, and I kid you not, maybe 5,000 in the entire world. 1 out of 3 internet users is a child. We need more of you to join those spaces to help us protect the children, so the digital playground becomes safer. It's never going to be safe, but safer. They do know more. It might be the first time in human history when children know more than adults. That's a difficult position, because there is no authority box that you can stand on and lecture them on when you don't know. You just don't know more than they do. But you have something that they don't, which is wisdom, or a prefrontal, fully developed cortex, so you know the consequences of your decisions. They don't. But maybe you can game with them. Maybe instead of a movie night, you can have a game night. Maybe you can download TikTok and try the bold glamour. I kid you not, like be careful. You're gonna be looking beautiful. It's the best filter out there, and you're gonna soon realize that digital dating has changed forever. It's basically everybody's catfished. Like everybody's face is real. If you're a man, it does work on us as well, but you just look glorious. But it works mostly on women. I'm not even gonna steal some of the quotes from my colleague coming up next. Most of the abuse apps only work on women, not on men. Go figure. And most of the developers are men. Does anybody know who this person is? Yeah, she's not an influencer. This is a list I found, asking AI. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Do you know who these people are? Yeah? No? Yeah? Millions. Some of them have more followers than some of our countries in Balkans have inhabitants. We are not watching them. Not on TikTok. But our children are. So I'll tell you what I did 10 years ago. I used and abused your data for the financial gain of corporations. Today it's called social media marketing. Back then, there was not many people who figured this out. That you can abuse the algorithm. You didn't buy your car. I made you choose the car you bought. And I know it's not going to be a Mercedes. And I know it's not a BMW, but it's a Mazda. It's a good Toyota. 93% of our buying decisions are influenced by social media. 93%. You're not wearing that dress in that color because you chose the color. It was chosen for you on social media. I did that in my past life, in my past form. When I used my powers for bad, I did that. And it was easy 10 years ago, and it's much, much easier today. We have more data. So, who's that? I have no idea. Those are your influencers. Then we have this, which is a really interesting name. Then this. My point is, ask the question. Because I'm betting the top influencer for children in Slovenia is not Arnold Schwarzenegger or Julia Roberts, which all of you know who they are, our kids don't. So their influencers are doing 2 things which I'm sure you know, but they don't. They are A, selling them things, and B, using them for marketing. I ask kids, you know Mr. Beast? Anybody knows who Mr. Beast is? Okay, usually 99% of kids know. There's only a couple of you who did, like the most influential online YouTuber, influencer, and I ask kids, what is Mr. Beast selling? And they go, chocolates, cars, whatever. And then I said, no, you know what it is? And I said, your eyeballs. And they go like, ew. But it's the fact. He is the best person on the planet selling our attention. For every 4 minutes in his video, for an ad that costs between $1 million to $3 million kind of to get into the ad, because they are the next generation. And you know why? And you know why it works? Because how many of you have bought a prime drink for yourself? You don't even know what it is. It's the most sold beverage in the world for the last couple of years, being pushed and sold by two influencers. One, the most influential one in UK, the other one in the US, and every kid in the world knows about prime drinks. The quality of the drink, we can talk off-piece, not the best. A lot of lawsuits. But that's because they, influencers, pushed a new beverage to our children that we then had to stand at 7 o'clock in front of Hoffer or Lidl or whatever to buy the drink for our kids. It's like basically an energy drink. None of you even know it exists. That's the question when you talk about influencers. The modalities of harm we need to consider are changing. It wasn't the same a decade ago or 20 years ago when we learned, don't put your private information online, right? But then you create a Facebook profile, name, surname, mobile number, all of our friends, and you put it there. Okay, that advice doesn't work. Do not meet with strangers that you met online, right? But mom uses Tinder and dad uses Grindr and they go out and meet strangers that they met online. That doesn't work. So you see the things that we were brought up to believe. Do not share anything, do not share anything. Somehow switch to share everything. And we were like, yep, we're gonna do that. And then the police forces on the other end say, why are you doing this? Right? But you are now in that position. You are now in this conference. This was the email. This was the warning sign. I asked this question last week, and I'll ask this question hundreds of times across the world. It's a rhetorical one, so don't jump in. What is the benefit to the child of sharing their videos or images online? There is none. We feel better. I'm the proud mother, I'm the proud father, I'm the proud uncle. We just went to karting, we enjoyed it. It was awesome in that BTC, whatever. We wanted to post an image of me and my nephew. But we thankfully got the balaclavas. It looked a little bit sinister, I'll be honest. But that's the only image we chose to publish. It was just our two kind of sets of eyes. Because we were protecting and educating the child next to me on their choice, their consent, and their privacy for that image to be published. Of course, we had to take 10 of them, but one of them got published. The modalities of harm are changing. And I can be here in a week or in 2 weeks, and I can tell you that the biggest rise, which I can connect with the police forces that we saw, in front of children's care homes, there's now QR codes. Doesn't say anything, just a QR code. Which you scan the QR code, you get connected to a USA website selling vape pens, like you know the electrical ones, yeah? But with THC and marijuana in it, that gets directly sent to your address. So you tell me, how can we educate the forces there to protect us when the modalities of harm are changing so rapidly that I got that report just a couple of weeks ago in UK asking, like, what should we do? I was like, tear this QR code off? I don't know, like, what can you do? That's how quickly it can change. And this is one thing that we need to keep in mind. This research was done kind of in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, 1,000 parents and guardians. This is the gap that we need to build a bridge. The more and more our children are experiencing sexual explicit online content, we talk to them less and less and less and less. Don't you find that odd? And I know the culture that we both share in the Balkans. You don't talk to your parents about some of these things, right? There are no more taboo topics. Internet has removed all of them. And if we are not in a position to talk about the inappropriate with our children, they're going to find ways online to do it. What we need to do as professionals is to find appropriate ways to talk about the inappropriate. And we need to do it quick, because that gap is only widening with every new piece of research we see. The statistics growing every year. But you look at IWF, our partners at the UK SIC, NACMEC in the United States, any charity working in the space, the more they look, the more they found. Child sexual abuse content is on the rise, horrific percentages, year on year, breaking records. What scares me about it, that the average time is now one Netflix show. The quickest is 19 seconds. That was the amount of time that I flipped this slide. So we need to be vigilant, and we need to be better in educating our children that this is not just a phone. It's a 4K camera, always connected. It shouldn't be in your bedroom. When I ask you, what is the first thing you touch in the morning when you wake up? And it's not that, and it's not your partner, it's your phone. And the last thing you touch before going to bed is something you call a phone, and I call the most expensive alarm clock in the world. If we remove the phones from the bedrooms, we have a higher chance of protecting our children. It's still not 100%, but there is not at least a 4K HDR-ready front and back camera recording and sending, like a smaller chance. But then everybody in the house needs to abide by that rule. Everybody needs to have the same place to charge the phone. And you shouldn't be using your phones in the bed as well, because 2 hours before bedtime, if you look at blue light, you'll have a harder time going to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you need to allow some boot time for your brain, so don't use your phone for the first 20 minutes or 45 minutes. Go back home tomorrow and tell me how hard that is. Or tell me in the last, 53 minutes, how many of you touched your phone, right? And it wasn't the Pope, it wasn't the Prime Minister or the President, right? It is hard for us as adults to do that. And we want to stand on a box and say to kids, put your phone down, while holding the phone in the other hand, right? Doesn't work. We need to do better. Whew. We're safe. It's again a quokka. They're awesome, and I did this a couple of times, and suddenly a woman puts her hand up and says, I've seen quokkas. I'm like, oh my God, you're the first person. She says, there's one problem with quokkas. You're not allowed to touch them. And I'm like, yes, but nobody told that to quokkas. So they come up to you and they cuddle, but then you kill them if you touch them. So like, be careful. They're a sweet animal. They're the happiest animals in the world. I love them. So I asked AI, what are the dangers in digital spaces for children? Didn't say like, I don't give it much because I want to see what the data is behind it. Number one, I didn't tell it to make a sad face. It's really telling. And again, misspellings. But there's new updates about AI. I'll tell you about it later with coffee break. But it looks pretty much as we think it is. It needs to be balanced, you know? The good and the bad, the positives and the negatives. They need to be supported in the negatives and surrounded by safe and good advice that changes over time, but at the same time be aware of the dangers. I have now seen in almost every session that I do, kids who have been scammed for hundreds of euros on Roblox. And sometimes it's called a Robux scam. If I were to rewind 25 years ago, none of us had 250 euros to get lost on a scam online, right? Because we wouldn't be mad to buy something online, right? Well, today that's like a normal thing. So they have accepted the same kind of purchasing logic as we do, but they want to get Robux. They don't need money, they need Robux, because with Robux, you buy the entrance to some servers in Roblox to play the games. So how are we going to get Robux? But, well, you could do the surveys and fill out a survey and earn real money. You can open an OnlyFans account and sell your feed pics. That will get you some money. Or you can use any other form of having digital money to use. So like, I'm giving my kid only 10 euros a week, but they have hundreds of euros they're spending on a game. Where is that money coming from? They can create a Roblox game and earn Robux on Roblox. By the way, it's Robux on Roblox, it's gold on World of Warships. It's a different thing. Like every game has its own currency with a different exchange rate. Intentionally made to confuse you. I'm sure not many of you know the current exchange rate for like euros to dollars. If I go to kids today, they would know what is the exchange rate for euros to Robux, which is really weird. So finance and financial scams, again, a modality of harm that is changing. But the only thing I can stand on is research. Professor Przybylski, Oxford Internet Institute, the latest and the biggest research, found little association between teenagers' technology use and mental health problems. A couple of months ago. That's the latest. That's the science I need to stand on to present you the left and the right, the good and the bad, and you make educated decisions. But this is what the science is telling us. So it's not the social media. You know what the scary part is? It's us. It's us as humans being fallible. And it's our children having issues and challenges. And it's so much easier to blame Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk. Right? Because we have a thing to point at. It's really hard to say that we need better mental health services, we need better support, our teachers need more salaries, we need more time with our children. Like, that's the difficult one. The easy one is let's ban Facebook or whatever. I would wish that before 1988 and the invention of the World Wide Web, there were no children's suicides, right? Doesn't work like that. So this is what the science is telling us in a week. For instance. But by the way, if you ask them, do you use Facebook? No. But do you have a Facebook account? Yes. But they will never post anything on there. Social media, this was in general. This was in different, when you look at 72 countries, so that was a global look. So if they don't use it somewhere, trust me, all of them have accounts. But how many do report them on kind of research is something completely different. Because some of them use some of the features of Facebook, which is really good, which is groups, to exchange schoolwork. But they will never post anything there. They kind of use the fake profile and fake images. Again, research, reality, global research, looking at the local lens is difficult. But you're right in that. It's mostly not there. But where it is then would be my next question. So I asked this question, and please shout out the answer. What is the average age of a gamer today in the world? Give it to me. 4, 9, 6, 7. Thank you so much for playing the game. You were wrong. It's 35. Games or gaming is the biggest entertainment industry in the world. It was not made for kids, and the majority of games are not age appropriate for children. They don't have 70 euros a week to spend on games. We do. I do. I'm the gamer. We love playing games. There's multiple reasons we can discuss later. That's the age kind of representation, changes slightly. As we grow older, the age moves. So if you have children playing games, they have a higher chance of playing a game with a 35-year-old than somebody of their own age. With the advent of AI, voice and visual changes, anybody can seem any age, any gender, and any interest. It can be an elf or a human. So if you want to do something about it, play the game. Join Pal World. See how cool it is to shoot up Pokemon. And it's awesome. Play Call of Duty and see how cool it is to dismember and kill other human beings. And see whether that's age appropriate for a 12-year-old. No, because it clearly states, it's not there, it clearly states 18 on the game. You're not allowed in some countries to buy that game for the kids, but the parents still go out and buy that game and give it to kids. So I did a session, we talked about gaming. And after every session I do with the kids, I tell them if you want to talk to me in private, with a teacher next to me, you can kind of come to me so we can discuss one-on-one. And they always form a queue. They always have a question. What's your gamer tag? What's your Snap score? When did you start using Twitter? Or whatever. And the kid comes up to me and says, I have an issue with Call of Duty. And I say, it's about shooting the people. And like, no, those are pixels. Like, no, that's not a problem. Okay. It's about the dog. I'm like, that level in the game? He's like, yeah. So you have a level in Call of Duty where to go through the level, you need to shoot a German Shepherd. And I was like, yeah, that's a bit like, why is that a problem? Because he has a German Shepherd sitting next to him, and he's 9. I'm like, oh yeah, and he couldn't shoot the dog. Just didn't want to do that. So what did you do? So he went to an anonymous app covering his school and issued a hit on the dog, offering sandwiches as payment. A friend reached out, came over, he took the dog and himself into the next room. The friend shot the dog in the game, progressed to the next level. They came back, all 3 of them, and played the game and continued. He's 9, and he had to do all of that. And my next question is, so did you tell your parents? And he goes, what? That's the danger. There's always going to be shooting dogs and shooting horses and animals and blood and gore and violence. That's never going to go away from our world. The danger is that he didn't share that with the parents, and he shared it with me after 45 minutes of a session. So game. It's the entertainment industry #1. It's not made for kids, but we need to engage in it to see what's safe, and as well to say to a kid, like, I'm really bad at this, but I did play Pac-Man. Like, we remember that. We played Mario Kart. I paid for parking today with the coin, so I played the game, put the coin there, press the button, beep, 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 get a ticket, and you're happy, right? It's a game. You signed up there on those sheets. If we had cards and kind of do the beep, beep, that's a game, how to get people to sign up. More people sign up with a card and a beep than with a pen and paper. You know why? It's because of the beep. You love the beep. If you have the beep in your, if you turn off the beep, the people will not come in. Even though doors are open, they will be like, where's the beep? Where's the beep? Like, we're missing the cue from the game of giving us the reward to walk in. The leaders of the future are the children of today. Remember that quote from the beginning. So they're playing the games. Play with them. What are the consequences inside or outside of the game of being bullied and then abused, being called a noob or any other form, but at the same time, what and where it happens, clearly visible here. It's always different. It's always superficial. It's academic, appearance, race. And kind of between Facebook and Instagram, probably higher than Instagram now is TikTok. 41% of them develop social anxiety. 37% develop depression. And then higher number 3, 26% of them had suicidal thoughts. And 9% of them began abusing alcohol and or drugs. So when you think about it, the prevention side of it should be something really interesting. And thank you so much for co-organizing this conference as the police. Because preventing cyberbullying basically prevents some serious harm down the way to our society. And there's some different research, again, from the Nordics coming up and showing that people being cyberbullied or bullied in their teens have a higher chance of later on becoming more hardened criminals and have a higher chance of doing that. So like it's so connected because it's so important for our lives and our development, as we heard just in the last one. This is one of the solutions, and I hope you build your own. This is Report Harmful Content platform. On those 8 categories of harm, you reach out to us, you give us a screenshot of Facebook telling you, yes, we have reviewed your report. It doesn't go against the terms and service and policies and whatnot. Then we review it again. And if it does go against, then we go to Facebook and say, listen, it does go against, take it down. In 75% of cases, we do not escalate the report. But when we do, 93% success takedown rate. So when we do escalate it, it's successful. So for legal content in Slovenia, you know where to go, to the hotline, to the police, to other services. But where do you go for the harmful content? And if you don't have a platform like that, absolutely support the Safer Internet Center Slovenia, maybe to develop something like that, if it's not already in play. Again, if it is, I do apologize. The next one is Revenge Porn Helpline. 7 years we've been doing that. 300,000 pieces of content, but we still cannot take down, let's say, 15,000 links, because some websites are created to host that content for the Revenge Porn Helpline. And we did the extrapolation looking 5 years ahead, and we figured we're gonna need 300 people. We're gonna need like a building of this size to help people there picking up the calls of other people publishing your intimate images and videos. And for us then to work day in and day out, trying to find that content and taking it down. Like it was just not valuable for us as a charity. So a lot of work, a lot of investment, a lot of good partners. We developed something called stopncii.org. Stop ncii.org. Stop non-consensual intimate image abuse. For anybody above the age of 18, anywhere in the world, they can open this website on their device and start a case. Stop NCI is a preventative tool where you go into your device. You do not, I repeat, do not upload your images or videos. You just check them in your gallery or on your device. The tool creates a hash, which is a digital fingerprint of that image or that video. We store the hash in our database and currently shared it with like 12 of the biggest companies in the world. So hopefully never, but if somebody attempts to share your image or a video, let's say on TikTok, it jumps up, the TikTok gets a match from the NCII, non-consensual intimate image database. They say, okay, we need to check this. So they use, some of them use AI, some of them use humans, and they look at the image, and the image is of Boris, but like fully dressed, and they're like, that's not NCII, that's a fully legit image. He looks a bit ugly, but like, it's allowed. But if it is an intimate image, and it did come from the NCII database, they block it, and they say that's not allowed on our network anywhere in the world. And at the same time, they send a signal back to all of these companies that they don't even need to look or check for that hash. If somebody tries to upload that image, it gets blocked instantaneously. We launched it 3 years ago. 2 years ago, effectively, this December is going to be our 3rd birthday. The latest one we added is Microsoft Bing. You can see some of them missing there, and I'm doing my best to get them there. But the point is to create the world where non-consensual intimate image abuse is not a thing. Because we know from our UK and world experience that one sharing of one image can destroy your career, your life, your family, and you do have to consider that an intimate image in Slovenia is not the same one as in the village of Bosnia or Pakistan or India, where just an image of you holding hands with another person is considered intimate, let alone Qatar or other areas of the world. That's why we developed this tool to be non-judgmental. We don't define what an intimate image is, you do. We don't see the images, we just store the hashes, which are irreversible. And some of you might be thinking, this is a really cool technology, right? It is. It's called on-device hashing technology. It didn't exist in that form globally. Wouldn't it be cool if kids would have the same access to it? I present to you, take it down. So we took that technology that we developed and gifted it to National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So if you're over 18, you use stopnci.org. If you're under 18, you use take it down. It is the first time that you, as the victim, can take back the power from the perpetrator and do something about it preventatively while you wait for the police and the judicial and the medieval institutions to do something. You use the godlike technology we have to protect you. So you don't need and you shouldn't be looking for that content or asking children for that content. You can teach them about the website they can use to not upload, not share, again, ever, but just preventatively hash their images and then take it down on NCMEC, work with a different set of partners to prevent that intimate images or child sexual abuse material in this case to be shared on those platforms. And then with the base database of CSAM content that NCMEC has, it builds up that database as well. So take it down for children, stopnci.org for adults. Great tools. So to sum up really quickly, I don't know what my time is. Do I have a little bit more time? What you can do, engage on various social media platforms. Please do. Download, I think the latest one is the STARS app. Have you heard about that one? I don't know. I just heard about last week. It's the newest app that a father from California created for his kids. Now it's one of the most used apps for children. I don't know how it works. Download it. Like, tell me if it's bad so we can find the guy and ask him to fix it. Like, it's like one person. That's how Snapchat, most of these companies started, like a couple of them in a basement. Learn about privacy settings, the difference between for you, for your friends, and understand that privacy is illusion. There is no privacy. Those are cameras on the street, or that's the camera roll images you have. The hidden folders in your iPhone, they're not hidden. Okay, when you turn off the location services, yeah, you did. Snap does hold your images. for much, much longer than you think. Like, we have been led to believe lies that we're being told by social media. Now is the time to wake up, okay? Now it's time to educate yourself and like look and research that for a decade they've been calling us lunatics for saying that those devices has the option to listen to us. And they're saying, no, no, no. And then we found out not only that they had people actively listening to your conversations. So like, educate yourself and think about the reality versus what we would like reality to be, and identify the vulnerable communities. Please do, because I don't know what they are in Slovenia. It is your country, it is your culture, it is your traditions. I just gave you like a broad overview. And everything I spoke today about, multiply it by 3 to 7 times. Those are the dangers in those vulnerable communities that we're speaking about today. So, build a bridge, start communicating, start doing some approaches that involve everybody, not just the people you like to work with, but the people from all around the spectrum of child safety around you. So you do have to have a judicial, a social care, a professor, a police officer, a case where like all of those people need to be involved. We need to educate ourselves continually, and do not forget that often you will be the only voice of unheard, unseen, and unsupported until you come to them. Whether those are children, vulnerable communities, or many others, we have, as professionals working in the field you're working, we have a higher level of responsibility. And you need to understand that it does involve the digital space as well. So you can identify those barriers. It's not the same of using the app if you don't have the ability to use one hand. It's not the same of using maps if you're in a wheelchair. It's not the same of reading your website if I'm visually or hearing impaired. But I can bet you, if you make your apps and websites and awareness materials for the people with diverse capabilities, it will be better for all of us. It will be better for all of us. So develop the interventions, get their testimonies, interview those people from those communities. Do not think for them, work with them to develop those solutions, whether that's a Roma community, whether that's a refugee or migrant, whether that's a digital person, whether that's a non-digital person. Don't forget about our grandmas and grandpas. There's 2 categories that criminal organization, and I kid you not, criminal organizations around the world are targeting. That's 65 and over and 15 and younger. Because those 2 generations are not educated. And both generations now have access to money that we don't have control over. So educate your grandmas and grandpas. They also fall into the vulnerable communities. Each of them have unique risks. I tricked you with this one. It's not a quokka. But I'm so sorry to say, it's not a dog as well. This is AI. It looks real. It would fool me to be a dog. But it's an AI dog. It's a happy one. It's a nice dog. Breathe. We're getting there. We're safe. So a couple of things, just to note. AI is here. It's conquering the world at a significant value. As a professional working in this space, from today, besides downloading TikTok and playing games, you need to start using AI. Whether that's ChatGPT or something else, it will enhance your productivity and it will make you a better professional at work you do. And I'll give you a specific example. I have been working for years with care homes in the United Kingdom. Care homes for children in the United Kingdom, different care homes have different provisions. Some of them only have a couple of children. And some of those children are mostly from special education needs background, from visual and hearing impairment, and from different countries. So when you have a child that you might have 20 years of research behind you, that you're working with a Philippinese child that has a visual and hearing impairment, who is autistic as well, you might be challenged as an expert. Go to ChatGPT and try, that was the alarm just to make sure the time, and try to create a working model of work with that child. And ChatGPT will probably do it in seconds. Well, it might take you decades of research. What I'm saying is, let's not make the same mistake with AI as we did with the nuclear bomb, as we did with dynamite, that was meant to be used for good, but ended up being used for something else. Nuclear power plant is much nicer than a nuclear bomb. So please, educators and professionals, use ChatGPT or any other AI. By the way, I'm not promoting. We do work closely with all of those AI companies. You know what the biggest problem is? Clearing their databases from CSAM material. It's filled. And just a year ago, we had the first cases of AI being used in schools. You guess for what? For children creating child sexual abuse material. So, not even in law, let alone the principle of how do we want to cover that. IWF did the research. They found a forum of 25,000 of those images. Majority of them passed the threshold of legal threshold of being considered child sexual abuse material. So again, if we do not start educating and using these technologies for good, people on the other side are going to start using them for bad. So I implore you, start using AI, and we can always talk on a coffee break on how. There's some great examples. Check your digital diet, please. How many quokkas you see per day? And your quokka might be your niece or nephew and or the favorite football club, whatever it is. But how much of that content did you choose, and how much of that content get chosen for you? Like, become aware of what you consume digitally and how it impacts you, how it raises, as the last session said, how it raises your trauma responses. We're not even aware of the consequences. So choose your digital diet, what you feed yourself with. I always vote for quokkas, but that's just me. And do not do this. There's one piece of advice I'll give you. Do not compare your life with other people's highlight reels. Slovenia is not a country that is all sunny and all happy people. But Slovenia is still a beautiful country with beautiful people. But if we only publish the good images, our children have nothing to compare the real life experiences with. So we need to take the responsibility to either explain that to our kids, that we look perfect as a family only for the Christmas picture, right? Then the argument starts after the picture is taken, before dinner, or the family gets into an argument as you're going to a seaside resort, right? But that's life. It's messy, it's painful, it's traumatic, but it's good, it's beneficial, it's exciting as well. But we don't see the other part on social media. Nobody ever publishes an image of themselves being depressed and scared and crying in the corner. So take these 3 quotes. Please become a positive digital role model. You are already a role model. I now ask you to become a positive digital role model. And the second one is, we cannot build a better and safer world online without you. So please help us to do that. Report it anonymously, use the Safer Internet Center, Slovenia's website, use the services from the police. When you see harm online, report it. And report it 1,000,000 times. If it doesn't work, advocate for a service that works. Create them. Create anonymous ways of children of reporting harm to you, because they will not talk to you. Not yet. You haven't built the bridge. But if there's an anonymous tool for reporting, maybe they will reach out. And trust me, they will, because we have a tool that we develop for hundreds of UK schools, and it does work. And then thirdly, I love this one. Be the adult we all needed when we were teenagers. I'm so sorry to say you're adults now. Sorry. You're over 25, most of you, at least, I think. Not judging. But you remember being 15 and having nobody to talk to about that thing? Now imagine if your whole life you have nobody to talk to except your friends, which is beautiful. But we need some adult guidance in this space. So be the adult that you needed as a teenager. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Boris, for adding another responsibility. Yeah, I'll be running outside here. But I do need to do that. I do need to share that. Enjoy, explore, ask for help. Be the positive digital role model. And at this point, be the grandma. Be this lovely grandma on second to last royal wedding. Everybody else taking the picture. Put the phone down. Enjoy the moment. And again, I don't care about you. You're adults. But there might be a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 15-year-old next to you, and you will be looking cool. Everybody else, maybe it's us a couple of months ago or in the future, will be taking the pictures around them. So let's enjoy some of the moments around us and kind of be that positive role model. But at the same time, after my session, please don't blame the tech. Don't go home and unplug it all. The sad thing is, it's not the tech. The scary thing is, it's us. The worrying thing, it's not the kids. So we need to educate ourselves. We need to learn how to do better with technology, and then we need to teach the children coming behind us. So I always use this quote at the end, Maria Sklodowska-Curie, the Polish and French Nobel Prize laureate. The first human being to have 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 distinctive fields. Still, nobody achieved that as well. And the first female Nobel Prize laureate. I'm stealing the quote. She didn't say this about online safety at the time, but like, nothing in life is to be feared. And you now, at this part of the presentation, body lean back, cross hands, like body language, like, this is scary. This dude scared us. But nothing is to be, it's more to be understood. And now is the time that we understand more so we may fear less. And if I can add, it's because our children are fearless. So we need to become more like them. And I know you remember that you were a kid once. I think all of you have been. And we need to understand more so we may fear less. At this point, I anoint all of you. You are the bridge builders. Don't go building bridges, by the way, like real bridges. Be the bridge builders. Kind of start those conversations. You're the adults. We all need it. You're the best adult those children have around them. And I know you can do it. There are many questions that we can open up now. There's many I didn't cover. And we can always engage in a conversation. I'll stay here for the day and we can talk about as well over the coffee break. Thank you so much for your attention. You have been wonderful. Appreciate you.